check 1 2 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 check 1 2. Testing 1 2 testing 1 2 test 1 2.
right, microphone test 1 2, testing 1 2 3. I hear the stream's delayed, so I'm waiting to hear myself. Testing 1 2. All right, microphone test 1 2. Oh yeah. 1 2 3. All right, that sounds good. We're good.
Oh. You ready to go?
Singing under your left titty.
Shh. You guys are doing broadcast over the world. They won't know what a titty is. I'm not sure. Are you ready to go? Where's Andy? Kind of waiting for the go ahead, I guess. Okay, I'm ready. Are you guys ready? Okay, first I want to welcome everybody here. I'm going to talk later, so I won't talk a whole lot now, and I won't even tell you a joke. So, but I'm just glad you're all here, and we always start our gatherings with a song, and our drum kind of sets the cadence of the heartbeat of the people here, and they create the mood. You know, if this was a funeral, he'd sing a different way. If this was going to war, he'd sing a different way. If this was a sad occasion or happy occasion, but he's going to sing a song and start the event, and he's going to put his drum beat is going to go into your hearts, I'm sure. I want to introduce a member of the Grand River Bands of Ottawa Indians, Ninmkee Fox.
Oh, my name is Dawei. Way ah ya oh way ah hi oh way ah way oh so que se ma wa oh name is Dawa ta ta pui me wa sin oh my name is Dawei. No money made the way. Way ah yeah oh way ah oh way ah way oh so que se ma wa oh ne made me was in home on a meta way. Way ah yeah oh way ah hi oh hey ah hey ah Yes, sir.
In a previous conversation I had with Chairman Ron Yob, in addition to what he just shared with the tone that's set by the song that we just heard, is that he would also have his students. He'd lead them in a song at the beginning. Everyone comes in from different activities, perhaps that morning, different places that they may be in their lives. And the song, done in cadence, particularly when he was outside into the river, aligned all of their heartbeats and their bodies together with them and together with nature from which we've come. And in that way, we're all united here today now in this point and in this time on this really important day of celebration. My name is Dale Robertson. I serve as president of the Grand Rapids Public Museum, whose building is right across the street here. Part of the land also that was the home of the original people of this place. And for that connection, I am very proud and happy to be here today to welcome you and to be part of this ceremony. 200th anniversary. We celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, and so forth, and they do call for joy and celebration. But also, it calls for a time of solemn reflection and thought, and respectful listening and witness. So in that, I'd like to share two things, two pieces that I think, that I would argue, the lawyer in me, right, I have to argue and submit, that I would argue are very key and important. The Treaty of Chicago of 1821 ceded 1.1 million acres. The city of Grand Rapids became a city in 1850. You just can't declare yourself a city. Cities are actually political subdivisions of the state. The state has to grant a charter for a city to become a city. There is no city of Grand Rapids without this Chicago Treaty of 1821. The second very important point, I would argue, treaties are between nations. This treaty was between four sovereign nations that exist to this day. The other very important piece that brings us together in that harmony that Ron spoke of and is now uniting us here today. So I thank you for being here. Welcome. And it is my pleasure now, as we proceed together, united and in harmony with each other and the land, the chairman of the Grand River Band of Ottawa Indians, Ron Yob.
Uh-oh. Okay, Ani, Ranyab and Desnakaz, Agitchibao Tinandoja, Mashika Odom. My name is Ron Yob. I'm the chairman of the Grand River Bands of Ottawa Indians. Turtle is our clan. You notice a lot of turtles around here also, and Grand Rapids is where I come from. Okay, I thought about a couple years ago, I knew this date was coming up, and I thought, well, can we do some kind of commemoration? I don't really want to call it a celebration. I got in a little trouble with my fellow tribal members about saying a celebration, but it's a commemoration. And anytime you do something for 200 years, I don't care what it is, it's got to be, it's got to be something. It's something that just doesn't happen. I had a lot of people that wanted me to come up and say some negative things, but I said, if you have a 200-year birthday or commemoration for something, you don't bring up their arrest record. You talk about the resiliency of that document to stand for 200 years. One of the things that document did was it created a land boundary for us. It created the southern boundary of the Grand River Bands of Ottawa Indians. It ended up being the Grand River right here. The next thing it did is it reaffirmed hunting rights. It referenced itself back to in Article 7 of the 1795 Treaty of Greenville, which guaranteed us rights to hunt on land ceded. It reaffirmed that in one of the articles. It came into, even though it was 200 years ago, I'm going to bring some other dates. I went back to 1795. Another one was 1807 that reaffirmed the Treaty of Detroit. Okay, it also was the cause of federal legislation. In 1946, the Indian Claims Commission was formed to settle claims with tribes across the whole United States. That was in 1946. A lady in 1948 named Juanita Dominic, I got told one time by a lady from a professor from Aquinas College, and she told me, she says, those Indian women were strong women. And before she could get that out, I said, what do you mean were, I mean, they still are, But anyway, Juanita Dominic went to battle with the federal government and represented us. I can remember as a little kid going to the meetings when she would come to talk to us, and because of the people we didn't have a lot of money, and we just had change and stuff like that. People would actually bring her. I remember my aunt would go around the house gathering up postage stamps because that's how she could contribute, But she did, and she kept that fight up. And in 1968, there was a settlement for our tribe from that 1821 treaty, and that was in 1968 through the Indian Claims Commission. In Michigan, the only tribe to ever get a claim against the Indian Claims Commission was the Grand River Bands of Ottawa Indians. All the other claims later years came through the Federal Claims Commission. So we were the only Ottawa tribe to do that, And in 1976, there was another litigation. Now I'm moving up a couple more years to 76. In 1976, there was a distribution plan, and that's what Juanita really had to go to work for, because she wanted the distribution plan to go to Grand River Ottawas that were quarter blood or more. And the government said they didn't think they could do that. And she says, I think we can do that, And she fought it out with him. And I said this at one of my talks before. I don't know if you ever argued with a woman, and I probably argued with 1,000 women in my life, and I've never won one argument. So when Juanita was there fighting on our behalf, that was a good thing, Well, in 1976, there was a distribution bill, and one of the things that the distribution bill required was that to be part of that settlement, you had to track yourself. Now I'm going to go backwards again to the 1908 Durant Rule, which was it was approved by the federal government in 1910, and you had to track yourself to that 1910 rule, or else you weren't going to get a payment. That was just it. So what the government, in hindsight, or good sight for our tribe, was they established the criteria for proving your ancestry. And so now, like in our tribe, every single one of our members can track to that Durant roll. There's not everybody can, and after that, all the tribes that were in the 1836 treaty also tracked to that Durant roll. So she kind of set the path for people to use that roll. So that was the second piece of federal legislation that came 155 years later. Well, in 1976 is when that distribution plan was passed and legislation was made. And coincidentally, Gerald Ford, whose museum is right here, was the president that signed that legislation. So there's kind of a thread to Gerald Ford also in this legislation. And also, like I said, it established the tribal blood quantums. We're probably, other than probably pedigreed dogs and things, we're probably the only race in the world that has to document who we are. But we can do it. We can do it. We're the first tribe in Michigan to do it, and we still hold that. We're going to dedicate this plaque in a second and unveil it, but I know all the Nishnabes on the Anishinaabe on the west side of Grand Rapids are going to love it when they see it. And I guess I guess we're ready to unveil the plaque. So, and I'll do a little description after she poses the. Now, on the one side of the plaque, you people can see is a map of Grand Rapids that was done in 1836. And if that map would have been drawn on August 28th of 1821, if you notice in the top left-hand corner, it says Indian Country. That's the west side of Grand Rapids. If that map would have been drawn on August 28th, 1821, both sides of that river would have said Indian Country. Just on the other side of the map is a little brief on the treaty, and underneath it is interpreted into our language by one of our honored speakers in the state, Kenny Pheasant. Okay. Are we ready for the? Yeah. Let's let Rachel go first. Yeah. Okay, we have right there. Okay.
Just stay here. So we have a special guest today, State Representative Rachel Hood from the 76th State House District right here in Grand Rapids. Please welcome the Honorable Rachel Hood.
Thank you, Dale. I've been preparing for this for many days. What a humbling experience to mark this occasion and this really remarkable gift from the Anishinaabe people. Before I give the tribute that we've put together from my colleagues and myself, I just wanted to spend a moment with some text from the Pottawatomie chief Matea's address to Governor Lewis Cass in 1821. He said about the treaty, "This has caused a great perplexity of thought, because we have counseled among ourselves and do not know how we can part with the land. Our country was given to us by the Great Spirit, who gave it to us to hunt upon, to make our cornfields upon, and to live upon, and to make our beds upon when we die. And he would never forget us, should we bargain it away. When you first spoke to us for lands at St. Mary's, lands further south of here, just 3 years before the 1821 treaty, We said we had little and agreed to sell you a piece of it, but we told you we could spare no more. Now you ask us again, and you are never satisfied. We have sold you a great tract of land already, but it is not enough. We sold it to you for the benefit of your children, to farm and to live upon. You think perhaps that I speak in passion, but my heart is good towards you. I speak like one of your own children. I'm an Indian, a redskin, and I live by hunting and fishing, but my country is already too small, and I do not know how to bring up my children if I give it all away. The Great Spirit who has provided it for our use allows us to keep it, to bring up our young men, and to support our families. And as I read all of these words of generosity from the chief, it caused me to think about how we must be incredibly mindful in the ways that we use this land, that we have to do all that we can to preserve our agricultural lands and the lifeways of these tribes. We need to honor this river and be cautious of 7 generations as we make decisions to restore our rapids. And we need to look beyond just this river itself towards healing all of our waters, the lifeblood that we all share that moves between each of us in a physical form. We also need to be mindful of our 6th lake, the water that's underneath us, our groundwater. Michigan has failed in these ways, and together we can purpose to do better, to do more, and to truly honor the gift of this land and the gift of these waters. We need to value all that nature provides and do all that we can to mitigate our contributions to climate change. We need to walk, live, love, and play on this land with the Great Spirit and Chief Matea's generosity in mind. And finally, we all must work collaboratively to prioritize federal recognition of the Grand River Ottawa tribe and the life work of Chairman Yob in order to honor all of the children of the Ottawa. And so with all of that in mind, all of that generosity in mind, I want to share with you this tribute to the Chicago Treaty Bicentennial, signed by Senator Winnie Brinks, myself, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, and Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who both regret that they are unable to be here today. Let it be known that the Treaty of Chicago is a historically important agreement signed on August 29, 1821 by Michigan Territorial Governor Lewis Cass, Commissioner of the United States Solomon Sibley, and representatives of the Grand River Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Pottawatomie nations. In joining the treaty, the tribes ceded to the federal government all lands in Michigan Territory south of the Grand River and west of what is now the city of Jackson, excluding several small tracts of land reserved for indigenous peoples. This treaty set the stage for European settlement in southwest Michigan and helped strengthen transportation and commerce connections between Detroit and Chicago. This provided integral to Michigan's history and helped define the state's residents and tribal communities that we know and enjoy today. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to commemorate the bicentennial signing of the Chicago Treaty and tribes and the government by the people of the state of Michigan and their formal and unique 200-year relationship in the development and progression of the state, this sacred moment to honor our land and water, as well as our responsibility to these rich natural resources and to each other. Thank you very much for the opportunity to deliver these words, and hopefully you take from this that each of us has a role in contributing to the memory and the generosity of spirit that this treaty recognizes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. We have a special guest that is here that I'm going to ask to say some words too. But before I do that, I want to say, Jim McGwitch, thank you to Dale, to Stephanie, wherever she may be, from the museum over that way, Valerie, who was the artist that worked on the design of that plaque, and to Kimberly, right there. And most of all, I want to say a special thank you to Andy Guy, because through his commitment, and I think he called me about 12:30, 1 o'clock last night, so he never quite stops, and he just keeps it going, and he kept the flow going, and he kept it at a good place. I would have probably procrastinated it to the 300-year anniversary, but Andy kept it going, and any of you city people out there, you want a project done, look that guy up. He's already got enough on his plate, but I'm very impressed with his work, Okay, I'm a special person that showed up here, and he was, for years, chairman of the Northern Michigan Ottawa Association. He was also a Grand River chairman also. He spent a lot of years in the 70s, 80s, 90s working for our rights and being a spokesperson for us and leading us at different times. He's Grand River, Ottawa. I want to introduce Mr. Joe Genia.
Thank you, Ron. Ron said we were starting late, and he was going to start with a joke. And I thought I had one. Because I just flew in from Traverse City a little while ago. My arms are tired. I came here today because the thing that should come out of this commemoration is that this is a document between sovereign powers. The United States government came to the Grand River Band Ottawa Nation and asked us to enter into this treaty of peace and friendship, cooperation, and also for mutual defense. At the time of 1821, 1795, the government needed an ally to stand between Britain and the United States here in the Lakes region. So part of our agreement in these treaties was an allied agreement. Treaties of peace and friendship and allied agreement with the United States. The treaty is protected by the Constitution as being the supreme law of the land. No other law could be made to abridge this treaty agreement. It's a marvelous thing that the United States offered this treaty, international, recognized the Grand River Band people as a nation of people, and entered into this treaty with them. This was not a new idea to the Grand River Band Ottawa people. By 1821, the Grand River Band Ottawa people had treaty agreements with France, with England, and with the United States before 1821. We knew what international treaty agreements were. By this time in history, we had 200 years of interaction with the European people. You could say we were in parochial school for 200 years. We knew how to read and write the Bible. We knew what the Constitution said. We knew that they said, and this is something that really we like this a lot, is that the Constitution said that this was a supreme law of the land and that we were nations of people. The idea that you should take away from you is that this treaty agreement is a validation of that nation agreement with us as Ottawa people. By this time in history, in 1821, we already had 2,400 years of continuous living here along the Grand River. We had our farms, our fields, our forests. Well, right over there by the S curve, they unearthed a fire pit that was 2,500 years old from Ottawa farms that had been sitting there 2,500 years ago. While the Roman Empire hadn't even come on by that time. And the Ottawas, Grand River Ottawas, were living over here in their farms, fields, and forests. The anthropological record, of course, goes back a lot further, or the anthropological record shows 2,400, but the fossil record goes further. The fossil record goes back into the Stone Ages, back when we were living down in Mississippi, in the great big village down there where now St. Louis is. But we moved up here thousands of years ago. But we were in our religion, in our creation stories. This is where we're from in the world. We were created here in the Great Lakes region, in this Great Lakes forest. We were created here with all of the trees, with all of the animals. We were created out of the earth here. This is where we are from in the world as Ottawa people. This is our homeland. We don't have a collective memory of this 1821 treaty. You have to have a collective memory as a community. Otherwise, you have two communities. The collective memory we don't have is that the Ottawa people opened the homeland on a humanitarian basis. Give me your poor, you're tired, you're humble, your huddled masses yearning to be free, and we opened it on a humanitarian basis. The United States, on the other hand, opened it under a doctrine of discovery and exploitation. And they adopted the doctrine of discovery. The Ottawa people never understood that concept because as nations of people, we're more than just the plants and animals here. We're human beings and we're alive as well. The Ottawa people still continue and hope that we can participate with the United States government in forming that more perfect union that we were promised. The people who love the Lord God with all their heart, with all their soul. Of all the commandments we were taught in parochial school, thou shalt not covet was one of the best ones we liked. As I said, we look forward to participating with the government in forming that more perfect union. Because as we live on this planet, we have no place else to go besides live with each other. And we continue as Ottawa people to offer you welcome, but also ask you to welcome us back. This is our homeland. Ho, Matea Yape, all my relatives to here.
Miigwech, Joe. Okay. Our next and our not quite our final thing, but our next thing is we have a group of women here, and I told you earlier about how in 1976 the criteria was established for descendancy to that 1821 treaty. Well, all these women contract themselves blood-wise right to 200 years ago here. So it's just showing the resiliency of these people that these women are still here. These women are our water protectors for this river. You know, they can go back thousands of years right to this river. You know, these women are a real special group of women. All the women are blessed with carrying the water when they bring new life into this world. They're blessed with bringing new life into this world. You know, they're blessed with maintaining the purity of the water of this world. Well, each of these women, they bring from wherever they're residing now, they bring the purest water that they can find near their homes, and they combine it, and they say their blessings over this river. Now, I want to tell you something about these women. I figured it out in my head, and over the years, whether it be children's celebrations, powwows, graduations, birthday parties, funerals, ghost suppers. We even had a feast called Just Because Feast. But this particular family of women, and there's great grandmothers, grandmothers, mothers, daughters, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. There's 7 generations of women that are here. And of these women, I did a kind of a ballpark figure in my head. And one other thing they do that they don't talk about, but at all those gatherings I mentioned, they provided the food and subsistence for the people. And I figured it out over the last 30 years, and this is probably a small estimate, but these women that are going to do this blessing have fed over 12,000 people in those years, just at gatherings, and they just did it on their own. They fed all these people. And I even see the great-grandchildren now participating in this. It's just something that their father, Frank Campo, and their mother, Viola Campo, instilled in them when they were young. I'm going to bring up Mackenzie Boda, and she's going to say a prayer in our language. When these 2 women are done, and her mother's going to tell you translate it for you. Now, when they're done, they're going to do the water blessing down below there. So when they're finished, if you guys want to watch them, I would either go on the bridge or right along the sledge here, and you'll get an excellent view of what they're going to do. Oh.
Gajamdado miigwech kinagego mampi gatoyan nishka kemagwing. Memdege nabe nangwa namigwech wenda mame. Kina nabish mampi temagat. Kichegamin, zagigan, zibin, tikebin, nishkigaking, minwan bish nam kamik. Ajna jinamushnang kinagwaya, wajabejiga wetoyang, ge nad mushnang wewane. Kichit ba wendag wak nabe, ganag da wendana, kichi miigwech.
Good afternoon. As I said, this is my daughter, Mackenzie Boda. My name is Bernadette Boda. My grandfather was Frank Campo, who was a Grand River Band's member. What Mackenzie just said to you is basically she is thanking the Creator for everything that was placed on Mother Earth. And especially today, we are thankful for the waters, the springs, the rivers, the lakes, the wetlands, and underground water. And we ask the Creator to help us and guide us to stand united to take great care of our water. Thank you.
Okay, as soon as everybody's assembled over there, they'll give you the go-ahead. And Ninmkee Fox will do a song during the blessing, and when the blessing is over, he will do a traveling song for everybody's safekeeping going home. Okay, their water blessing is over, and now I'm going to have Ninmkee do. Whenever we end an event, we always have a traveling song that they sing for everybody's safe travels home. So I'm going to have Ninmkee come up here and with his group and do a little traveling song. Ninmkee and Friends.
What was it again?
Thank you guys again. So that concludes our commemoration today, and I'm not going to tell you goodbye because in our language we don't have that word goodbye, but we say Bamapi, and we say that we're going to see you again later, and if nothing else, maybe in 2036 for the 100 or 200 year anniversary of the 1836 treaty. Maybe we'll come back, but you're probably going to see some young guys putting it together. Miigwech.